Marcus Thompson pulled his rental car into the circular driveway of the Sterling Grand Hotel in downtown Miami at approximately 9:30 p.m. on a humid Friday evening in late May. The hotel was an impressive structure, a restored Art Deco building from the 1920s that had been renovated several times over the decades and now offered luxury accommodations in the heart of Miami's financial district. At 45 years old, Marcus was the founder and CEO of Thompson Hospitality Partners, a private equity firm specializing in acquiring and repositioning underperforming luxury hotels across the United States. His firm managed a portfolio of 32 properties with a combined value exceeding $1.2 billion and had earned a reputation in the hospitality industry for transforming struggling hotels into profitable destinations. 2 weeks ago, Thompson Hospitality Partners had closed on the acquisition of the Sterling Collection, a group of 7 boutique luxury hotels located in major cities, including Miami, Chicago, Boston, Seattle, Denver, Atlanta, and San Diego. The purchase price had been $240 million, and Marcus had personally negotiated the deal over 6 months of careful due diligence and financial analysis. The Sterling Grand Miami was the flagship property of the collection, and Marcus had deliberately scheduled his visit for a Friday night when the hotel would be at its busiest to observe operations under realistic conditions rather than during a quiet midweek period when staff might not be fully challenged. This was Marcus's standard approach when acquiring new properties. Rather than announcing his arrival and receiving the carefully orchestrated tour that ownership typically received, he preferred to check in as an ordinary guest using a reservation made under his personal name rather than his company name. He had learned over 2 decades in the hospitality business that the only way to truly understand how a hotel operated was to experience it as customers did every single day. Tonight he was dressed in business casual attire, dark jeans and a polo shirt, having just flown in from a board meeting in New York. His luggage consisted of a carry-on suitcase and a leather laptop bag. To anyone looking at him, he appeared to be just another business traveler arriving for a weekend stay. He handed his keys to the valet, a young man in a crisp uniform who greeted him professionally and provided a claim ticket. Marcus walked through the revolving glass doors into the hotel lobby and took a moment to observe his surroundings. The lobby was beautifully appointed with restored original features, including terrazzo floors, Art Deco light fixtures, and ornate plasterwork on the high ceilings. Modern furniture had been carefully selected to complement the historic architecture, and fresh flowers in large arrangements added color and fragrance to the space. Several guests moved through the lobby, some checking in at the front desk while others waited in the seating area or headed toward the elevator banks. Marcus approached the front desk where 2 staff members were working. One was helping a couple check in while the other, a woman in her late 40s with brown hair pulled back in a tight bun and a name tag reading Linda Hayes, front desk manager, was reviewing something on her computer screen. As the couple finished their check-in and moved away, Marcus stepped up to the desk. "Good evening. I have a reservation under the name Marcus Thompson checking in for tonight." Linda looked up from her computer, and her expression shifted almost imperceptibly as she took in Marcus's appearance. "One moment, please." Her tone was polite, but notably cooler than the warmth she'd shown the previous guests. She typed on her keyboard, her eyes scanning the screen. "I'm not seeing a reservation under that name for tonight." "That's odd." Marcus pulled out his phone and opened his email showing the confirmation. "I made the reservation 3 weeks ago through your website. I have the confirmation number right here. It's RT74829. Linda barely glanced at the phone screen. "Sir, I'm looking at our system and there's no reservation under Thompson for tonight. Perhaps you made the reservation at a different hotel or for a different date." "No, it's definitely for tonight at this location." Marcus enlarged the email on his phone screen and turned it so Linda could see it clearly. As you can see, the confirmation shows the Sterling Grand Miami. Check in today, May 24th, check out Sunday, May 26th. 2 nights in a deluxe king room. Confirmation emails can be faked. Linda's voice took on an edge. We've had issues in the past with people creating false reservations to try to get rooms during sold-out periods. Do you have a credit card you use to guarantee the reservation? Of course. Marcus pulled out his wallet and handed her an American Express Platinum card. This is the card I used when I made the booking. Linda took the card and examined it, as if looking for signs of fraud before running it through her system. After a moment, she looked back at Marcus with an expression of skepticism. This card is coming back as declined. That's impossible. Marcus felt his patience beginning to thin. That card has a credit line of over $100,000, and I haven't used it for anything significant this month. Try running it again. I've run it twice, and it's declining both times. Linda slid the card back across the counter. Sir, I'm going to be honest with you. We're a luxury hotel with rooms starting at $450 per night. Perhaps you might be more comfortable at one of the hotels near the airport where rates are more affordable. The suggestion hung in the air. Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his chest that came when someone made assumptions about what he could or couldn't afford. The card isn't the problem. There's clearly an issue with your payment processing system or the way you're running the transaction. I'd like to speak with your manager. I am the manager. Linda crossed her arms. And I'm telling you that your card has been declined, and I don't have a reservation in the system under your name. Now I've been patient, but we have other guests waiting, and I need you to either provide a valid payment method or I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Marcus looked behind him. There were no other guests waiting at the desk. You're not being patient, you're being dismissive. I have a valid reservation confirmation, a valid credit card, and I'm asking you to resolve what is clearly a system error on your end. Instead, you're suggesting I can't afford to stay here and asking me to leave. I never said anything about what you can or cannot afford. Linda's voice rose slightly. I'm simply following hotel policy. No confirmed reservation and no valid payment means no room. It's that simple. Then let me try a different card. Marcus pulled out a Visa card and placed it on the counter. Run this one. Linda took the card with obvious reluctance and ran it through the system. After a moment, she shook her head. This one is also declining. Sir, I think you need to contact your bank and sort out whatever issues you're having with your credit. We cannot provide you with a room tonight. Both cards declining is statistically impossible unless there's a problem with your system. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm going to call American Express right now and verify that there's no issue with my account. You can call whoever you'd like, but you need to do it away from the desk. Linda gestured toward the seating area. You're blocking other guests from checking in. There are no other guests. Marcus didn't move. And I'm not leaving this desk until we resolve this situation. I've been traveling all day. I have a confirmed reservation at this hotel, and I expect to receive the room I booked and paid for. Sir, your attitude is becoming a problem. Linda reached for the phone on the desk. If you don't step away from the desk voluntarily, I'm going to call security and have you removed from the property. Call them. Marcus kept his voice calm but firm. Because I'd very much like to explain to security why a guest with a valid reservation and valid payment is being refused service at a hotel that's supposed to be known for hospitality and customer service. Linda picked up the phone and pressed a button. Security to the front desk, please. I have a guest who's refusing to leave after being informed we cannot accommodate him. Her eyes never left Marcus as she spoke, and there was something in her expression that went beyond professional concern. There was assumption and judgment. Within 2 minutes, a security guard arrived, a stocky man in his 50s wearing a dark suit with a security badge. What seems to be the problem? This man is claiming to have a reservation, but it's not in our system, and his credit cards are declining. Linda's voice was calm and authoritative, as if she were describing an unruly customer rather than someone requesting basic service. I've asked him to leave, but he's refusing and becoming confrontational. I'm not being confrontational. Marcus turned to the security guard. I arrived with a confirmed reservation that I made 3 weeks ago through the hotel's website. The reservation isn't showing in their system, which appears to be a technical error, and both my credit cards are declining, which is impossible since I use these cards regularly and they're both active with high credit limits. Instead of trying to resolve the issue or calling the reservations department to verify my booking, the front desk manager has suggested I stay at a cheaper hotel and is now having me removed. The security guard looked between Marcus and Linda. "Sir, do you have the confirmation email?" "Right here." Marcus showed his phone screen to the guard. "Confirmation number RT74829 for 2 nights starting tonight." The guard examined the email, then looked at Linda. "This looks legitimate. Have you tried calling Central Reservations to verify?" "I don't need to call anyone." Linda's voice was tight. "The reservation isn't in my system, and that's what I go by. If it was a legitimate booking, it would be here. But technical glitches do happen." The guard seemed uncomfortable with the situation. "Maybe we should verify before asking the gentleman to leave. I'm the front desk manager, and I make the decisions about who stays at this hotel." Linda's face was flushed now. "And I'm telling you, this man is not getting a room here tonight." The guard turned back to Marcus. "Sir, I'm sorry, but if the manager says there's no room available, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the property. This is discrimination." Marcus pulled out his phone again. "Fine, I'll leave. But first I'm making a call." He dialed a number and waited. The call was answered quickly. "Jennifer, it's Marcus. I'm at the Sterling Grand Miami and I'm being refused service and removed from the property by the front desk manager. I need you to conference in Scott Hendricks immediately. Yes, the CEO of Sterling Hotel Group. Tell him the new owner of his former flagship property is being thrown out by his staff." There was a stunned silence. Linda's confident expression began to crack. "Owner?" Marcus kept the phone to his ear. "Yes, hold on." He looked at Linda directly. "My name is Marcus Thompson. I'm the founder and CEO of Thompson Hospitality Partners. 2 weeks ago, my firm completed the acquisition of the Sterling Collection, including this property for $240 million. I own this hotel and the 6 other Sterling properties. I checked in tonight under my personal name to conduct an unannounced quality assessment, and instead, I've been profiled, dismissed, and removed by a front desk manager who made assumptions based on my appearance." The color drained from Linda's face. "You own the hotel? That's impossible. The sale wasn't supposed to close until next month." The closing was accelerated. Marcus's phone conversation resumed. "Yes, Jennifer, I'm still here. Is Scott on the line?" He listened for a moment. "Scott, good evening. I apologize for the late call, but we have a situation at the Miami property that requires your immediate attention." Over the next 10 minutes, Scott Hendricks, who had been the CEO of Sterling Hotel Group until the sale and was staying on as a consultant during the transition, was briefed on what had happened. His voice came through the phone speaker clearly enough for Linda and the security guard to hear his distress and anger. He apologized profusely to Marcus and asked to speak directly with Linda. Linda took the phone with shaking hands. "Yes, Mr. Hendricks." She listened for a long moment, her face going from pale to gray. "Yes, sir. I understand." She handed the phone back to Marcus. "Mr. Hendricks would like to speak with you again." Marcus took the phone. "Yes, Scott." He listened and nodded. "I appreciate that. Yes, we'll need to have a comprehensive discussion about staff training and customer service standards across all properties. I'll be conducting visits at each location over the next month. Thank you." He ended the call and looked at Linda. "Ms. Hayes, I'm not going to terminate your employment tonight, even though your behavior would justify immediate dismissal. Instead, you're going to experience what it feels like to have your professional competence questioned based on assumptions. Starting Monday morning, you'll be transferred to a training position where you'll spend the next 90 days learning about bias, customer service, and the values that Thompson Hospitality Partners expects from all staff. If you complete the training successfully and demonstrate genuine change in your attitudes and behaviors, you'll be allowed to return to a front desk position, though not as a manager. If you don't, your employment will be terminated." Linda opened her mouth, but no sound came out. In the meantime, Marcus continued. I'll be checking into the presidential suite for the next 3 nights instead of the standard room I originally booked. I'll be conducting a full operational assessment of this property, including reviewing security footage from tonight's incident, interviewing staff, and examining your procedures for guest services. The results of that assessment will determine what changes need to be made here. He turned to the security guard. What's your name? Robert Mendez, sir. Robert, you handled this situation appropriately given the information you had. I'd like you to be part of the conversation when we review security protocols next week. He looked back at Linda. I need my room key now. Linda's hands trembled as she processed Marcus's check-in, using a different computer terminal. She produced 2 key cards for the presidential suite and placed them on the counter. Your room is on the 23rd floor. The elevator bank is to your right. Marcus took the keys. One more thing. Pull up your reservation system and show me my original booking. Linda typed on the keyboard, and then her face went even paler. It's here. Your reservation has been in the system the entire time. I was looking at the wrong date screen. So you refused me service and had me threatened with removal based on your own error. Marcus let that sink in. An error you made because you'd already decided I didn't belong here and weren't motivated to look carefully for my reservation. He picked up his laptop bag. We'll discuss this further at Monday's meeting. Over the next 3 days, Marcus conducted a thorough assessment of the Sterling Grand Miami. He interviewed staff at all levels from housekeeping to management, reviewed operational procedures and financial records, and observed guest interactions throughout the property. What he found was troubling but not surprising. Several staff members reported that Linda had a pattern of being dismissive toward guests of color, and the complaints had been filed but never seriously addressed by previous ownership. Marcus implemented immediate changes. Linda was transferred to the training program as promised, and a new front desk manager with a strong record of inclusive customer service was brought in from another property. All Sterling Collection hotels underwent mandatory bias training, and new policies were established for handling guest concerns and complaints. Marcus created an anonymous reporting system for both guests and staff to report discrimination incidents, and he personally reviewed every report during the first 6 months. The presidential suite where Marcus stayed during his assessment visit became a reminder to staff of what had happened and why standards mattered. He eventually stayed in it during every subsequent visit to the Miami property, not as a power move, but as a way of remembering that assumptions and bias could appear anywhere, even in luxury hotels that prided themselves on service. Linda Hayes completed the 90-day training program and returned to a front desk position at a different Sterling property where she had no management authority. She never regained her previous status and eventually left the company after 18 months. The incident at the Sterling Grand became a case study used in training sessions across all Thompson Hospitality Partners properties, a vivid example of how bias could undermine customer service and damage a brand's reputation. The Sterling Grand Miami flourished under new management and with a renewed commitment to welcoming all guests, regardless of their appearance or assumptions about their means. Guest satisfaction scores increased dramatically, and the property became known for service that lived up to its luxury positioning. Marcus's assessment visit and the changes that followed sent a clear message throughout the organization that discrimination would not be tolerated and that every guest deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. Because Marcus understood that real change in the hospitality industry required more than punishing individuals for their biases. It required building systems, creating culture, and demonstrating through action that the values an organization claimed to hold were more than just words in a mission statement. And that lesson, learned painfully on a Friday night in Miami, became the foundation for how Thompson Hospitality Partners approached every property in its growing portfolio. If this story moved, you share it, because discrimination in hotels and hospitality settings remains a reality for travelers of color who face skepticism and poor service based on appearance, and only corporate accountability and genuine cultural transformation can create welcoming environments where all guests are valued equally. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.